Hey everyone, welcome back to the Little Shop of Hoarders and the PDX Picker channel. My name's Chris. We're going to pull some orders that are sold for me on eBay and Poshmark. I want to go over a topic that I've addressed briefly in the past, but I want to make sure it has its own standalone video so that it's very clear, because I want to get this message out because it's very important for folks. So stick around after the intro song and we'll get to pulling those orders and talking about that topic.
Wanna buy that Farrah Fawcett poster? There's dispensers and a toaster. Don't know why. That kind of stuff you throw away, I'll sell on eBay.
Okay, so it's Monday. Had an absolutely outstanding sales weekend. Things are going gangbusters for me in November. I've almost always surpassed my total for the month of October. It's only November 18th, so things are looking super, super good for me for this month. Let's go ahead and pull a couple of orders and then we'll get into that topic. All right, so the first order that sold, a pair of women's Hey Dudes. Ended up just taking a pretty low offer on them for $12.50. They were used, they're in really good condition. Not entirely certain why they weren't as valuable as I originally thought they were, but sometimes you just gotta see when the writing is on the wall. And they had been sitting for a long, long time without any activity, so I went ahead and took an offer for $12.50. But here they are right here. Hey Dude, chambray is the Wendy chambray color is what it is. Again, thankfully I only picked these up for a couple of dollars at a yard sale, so I still made a profit on them. But I don't know if Hey Dudes are a little bit out of fashion. Maybe it's one of those where there's so many Hey Dudes listed that my listing was just kind of lost in the shuffle. Maybe I didn't title it well. I don't know. But anyway, only sold them for $12.50. The next item that's sold, I put sold in quotes, is something I realized I made a mistake on. I double sold a shirt, an Ariat shirt. I had sold it a few weeks ago on Poshmark, but somehow it stayed listed on eBay and sold again on eBay. So unfortunately, I had to cancel that order, which is going to be a knock on my record. Thankfully, I haven't had one of those in a long time, so it's not going to take away my top-rated seller status. But nonetheless, it's frustrating. I don't know exactly. I think it probably happened during the time when Poshmark was not integrating successfully with Vendoo. There's, unfortunately, every now and then there are some issues where Poshmark and Vendoo aren't talking to each other. Same as now the case for Mercari. It's not talking to each other. At least it hasn't been the past week or so. So things like this happen. It's frustrating. It's kind of the game you have to participate in and play if you are cross-selling on multiple platforms. Vendoo is not perfect, and this is one of the big issues I have with it, but right now the positives do outweigh the negative, so I'm sticking with it, moving forward and continuing to cross-list. We'll go over a couple of items that sold for me on Poshmark, and that will lead into the topic for the day. So the first item that sold is a pair of Democracy women's jeans. They are right here. It's the AB Technology jeans. They sold on Poshmark for $22 plus shipping. I actually picked those up at the Goodwill outlet for $1.70, and they sold for $22, so it took a while for them to sell. These aren't the best-selling model, the AB Technology. I found the AB Solution is usually a little bit better one, but nonetheless, $1.70 and $22, a very nice sale. And then the next item that sold, also on Poshmark, I picked this up in a Whatnot auction, and I kind of took a gamble on it. It says it's size 9. I kind of took a gamble on it. Wasn't necessarily a good deal, but kind of worked out because at least it unlocked free shipping for me on the other items that I sold, or other items that I bought on Whatnot, I should say. Picked this up from a fellow YouTuber, Resale Mania, Mikhail, out in Bozeman, Montana. He had a show, wasn't getting a lot of buyers, so I tried to pick up some good deals from him. It's these Vans Disney Princess Skate High model. I paid about $13 for those. But like I said, it was primarily, and that included the shipping, it was primarily to unlock the free shipping on the additional purchases. I did only sell those for $20 on Poshmark, so I essentially barely broke even on them, but that's okay because the other items that I bought, those are going to give me some really good profit once they sell. So as I mentioned, I had 2 items on Poshmark. I actually have 2 more items that have sold that I'll pull in a future video. But the moral of that story, and goes right into the topic for the day, which is my Poshmark sales have ticked up significantly, almost exponentially in the past couple of days. And that is due to something I actually mentioned in my last video, but I really want to highlight it and make it its own topic, its own video topic. And that is, if you do go with Posher VA, which I, for a while there, was a little bit down on, but now I'm 100% back on board with it. Posher VA is a great tool to, a great service to pay for to add to your Poshmark closet and make your Poshmark selling experience much, much better. It does cost $25 a month, but I've had, just in the past 2 or 3 days, I've had probably about $100 of sales, so it's more than paid for itself just in the past 2 days. So again, real quick, I've gone over this many, many times. For those of you that sell on Poshmark, Posher VA is a service. It costs $25 a month, and it automates a lot of the functions that really help boost your sales on Poshmark, like sharing your listings, following other Poshers. But the biggest one that I continue to think is the best automatic function is it will send a offer to somebody who likes any of your items in your closet. That feature works really good for me. I get a lot of sales that way. But one thing that I discovered, and it's important for all of you that have Posher VA currently, and you're paying for it, but maybe you don't know this, you need to make sure to go into the extension. So how it works, it's a Google extension that runs off of your Google Chrome browser. You need to go into that extension, open it up, and make sure that all of the features are turned on. So for whatever reason, I don't know exactly why, but I had the automatic offer feature turned on, and then it, for whatever reason, just turned off on its own. Not something that I did, and because of that, I didn't realize it for several weeks, and I lost out on that feature of sending out offers within 3 minutes of somebody liking one of my items. Well, thankfully, I went back into the extension just kind of by happenstance, and I noticed that the feature was off. I turned it back on, and the results speak for themselves. In the last, as I mentioned, in the last 2 or 3 days, I've sold 4 items alone on Poshmark. So that's, again, much lower than my total eBay sales, but it is still way higher than I normally sell on Poshmark if I don't use Posher VA, or in this case, if the Posher VA automatic offer feature is turned off. So for those of you that use Posher VA, or if you're considering using it in the future, I just want to make sure that you are aware that for whatever reason, that feature can turn itself off. So make sure you go into your extension, look at that setting, and ensure that it is turned on. That way, I think the system works a lot better, the Posher VA system works a lot better, and you'll be getting the full value for your money in terms of paying for that service. I had somebody buy something from me and ask me to ship it the same day. I will definitely try and accommodate that anytime that somebody asks. So, but before we get into that, I want to talk about what happened and show you the results of trying to ship that big giant milker, Surge milker, that I had talked about selling in my last video, or talked about what had sold. Here it is in the box. I happened to find this box and it worked well. I did, of course, need to break it down and fix it up. I'm going to add a couple of more layers of tape on here because it's still a little jankety looking. This weighs 22 pounds and I'm shipping it FedEx ground, or FedEx home delivery. It's going to come in right at $30.67 to ship this. So came in under my estimated cost for shipping, but with the time that it took to get this all together, I am perfectly fine charging somebody a little extra to ship that, but not very fun, that's for sure. I do have one more of those that I bought that I need to list. It's even a little bit bigger than that one. I think I'm gonna try and sell that one locally though. It's just not fun. Not fun to ship those things, even though they have some pretty good value. All right, so the first item that sold is this pair of Hoka hiking boots. I have learned a very valuable lesson when it comes to Hoka hiking boots, or basically non-running boots. They're not as great as the running shoes. So these are a pair of Anacapa 2 mid-height Gore-Tex boots in really good condition. Were not worn that many times at all. Plenty of life in these. Just probably, I bet you these were worn less than 5 times, if that. Cleaned up really nicely. These are a newer model. I had to pay $30 for these at my thrift store, but I thought, you know what? With Hoka's being in that good a condition, Gore-Tex hiking boots, I bought these over the summer. Had them listed for, I want to say, $90, $89.95. Got a few lowball offers here and there, but most of the time I didn't really get a lot of traction at all, but it did go on my 25% sale, and it finally sold for $67.46. So, made a profit. Wish I hadn't paid $30 for these. Would have loved to have bought them for $15. So, I guess moral of the story is I don't know if I'm going to be buying Hoka hiking boots again unless they are cheaper than $30. Because even in this pristine, good condition, I don't know if it's the colorway, I don't know if people just don't think of Hoka with hiking, but with hiking boots anyway, not trail running shoes. Anyway, I made some money, but not as much as I thought it was going to. Had a really rainy, cold weekend. My youngest son had a lacrosse tournament this weekend. Had 4 games, and it was a lot of time outdoors, very cold, wet, but not, it actually could have rained a lot more on us. We happened to have a good game time, so didn't get a lot of rain, but I'm tired of this weather. This item sold, I mentioned this recently, this is a AeroGarden set of 2 grow bulbs. I picked this up for $3.99 at my favorite thrift store. Sold on eBay for $34.95. Really quickly too. I don't think it had been listed for more than about a week when that sold. So these grow bulbs for AeroGarden, if you can find them, super good sellers, very high sell-through rate, and they sell quick. Yeah, it was a bit of a frustrating weekend in terms of the results on the lacrosse field. The team did not do that well. But I won't bore you all with lacrosse details. I know a lot of you folks don't, you know, maybe lacrosse isn't as popular as some of the other sports, but it is what it is. I'm going to have a phone call with the coach later on today to talk about things. These cost a lot of money to do these club sports, and I want to make sure we're getting our value for it. Next item that sold, I bought this in a lot of old vintage cameras. I had no interest in this camera, but because it came in the lot, I went ahead and just listed it anyway. It is an old Kodak Instamatic 304, sold for very little money. I do not recommend picking these up. But as I mentioned, it was in another lot, so I went ahead and listed it because of that. It came with the original box, which is kind of cool. So it came with the original box, came with original instructions. I didn't test it, so I don't know if it works, but here's the camera itself. Just an old vintage, low-cost Kodak film camera. Sold for $7.18 plus shipping on that. You know, probably cost $1 or $2 as part of the lot. So I made a little bit of money, but these types of Kodak cameras are not anything you should ever pick up unless it just happens to be thrown in as part of a lot, like I mentioned. This next item that's sold, I overpaid for it. Still turned out to be a decent profit though, so that's okay. I bought these at the Goodwill at Goodwill. Apparently I didn't organize this very well. Hold on. So it's this grouping right here of these old Irwin branded hand auger drill bits. Picked these up for $20 or $19.99 at Goodwill. There should be 10 pieces to it. So let me just double check that I got them all. Well, there's only 9 there, so hopefully I have the 10th one in here still. I do. Didn't do a very good job of, I should have wrapped these up in plastic and kept them together. But anyway, these are pretty good pickups if you can find them, and preferably for cheaper than the $20 that I paid for these. They also, if you have the box, or if you can get the box that they originally came in, also helps the value a little bit on them. But this is what they look like here. They have this kind of a, I don't know, trapezoidal figure here on the back, or shape on the back here. And right there is where it says Irwin on it. Probably won't come through, but very good pickups for sure. All right, so I actually got a call from my son's coach in the middle of filming this, so I don't remember where I left off on here, but essentially These Irwin auger bits are good pickups if you can get them, preferably with a box, and preferably no more than $10 or so. But those sold for $44.97 plus shipping. So still made a pretty good profit off of my $20 purchase. Just wish I'd paid a little bit less for them. I'm in the process of ending my listings for all my Christmas items and selling similar to refresh all the listings on, but I did sell a Christmas item in the process. This is a Mr. Christmas Bells of Christmas lighted musical bell set that I picked up and tested that out, and it sold for $33.71. It was in my 25% off sale, so it was a little bit cheaper than I had originally hoped for. I actually picked those up at the Goodwill outlet. Really nice pickup there. It's about $5.80 because it's a little bit cheaper to buy electronics than it is other items. Tested it out. It worked well. For those of you, I don't know how often these come up. I do have another set that I haven't listed yet. Originally, when I went to test this, it didn't work at all. Basically, it plays a song and the different bells have lights on them that kind of correspond to the notes of the song, and it didn't work originally when I first plugged it in, or the lights didn't work. Come to find out, every single bolt just needed to be screwed tight, and then they worked just fine. And I think that's a relatively common issue with these Mr. Christmas Bells of Christmas. So if you do have one and you test it out and it's not working, just make sure that all the light bulbs are tight, and there's a good chance it actually will work. So $33.71 or whatever it was from a $6 purchase. I went ahead and took an offer on this item of clothing. I just, every now and then, I can't tell which ones are gonna sell for top dollar and which ones aren't, so this one was a 511 tactical fleece jacket. Good size. I wanna say it's a double XL. Not even close, it's just a large. Anyway, it's a good size. Picked this up for $7.99 at the thrift store. I took an offer for $20. I'm not huge on fleece jackets in terms of getting top dollar, so if somebody's gonna give me an offer of $20 or more, I will go ahead and usually accept it. I don't know if this is the right philosophy or not, but I'm kind of in a battle with this Carhartt hoodie that I have listed. It's a women's Carhartt hoodie. I have it listed for $24.95. I had somebody use all 4 of their offers with me over the weekend because, you know, buyers only get to make an offer 4 times on a particular product on eBay. It just kept offering me. I decided in my mind that my bottom dollar was going to be $20, and they started at 12, then they moved up to, you know, 15, 17 or whatever, and I just finally said twice, I told them, you know, $20 is the cheapest I'm gonna go, and they got their offer up to $18, would not spend that extra $2, so they declined my last offer at $20. You know, whatever. I mean, if they really wanted to save that $2, then they were fully within their rights to do that. I had another person just offer me $15, and again I countered and said $20, that's my bottom dollar. So there's certain items of clothing that I will set a floor on the least amount of money that I'm going to take right now, and it's early on in the selling process. If I've had it in my inventory for 6 months or more, then usually all bets are off. I will take the lower offers, but I've only had that hoodie listed for a short period of time, less than 90 days. Fleece jackets are a little bit different. 511 Tactical, you know, it's a pretty decent brand, but I knew that this wasn't going to sell for top dollar. I just kind of had that feeling. Had it listed for $29.95, but I took the $20 offer on that one. It's just a gut feeling. I might be wrong, but that's just what my mindset is when I'm making those kinds of decisions. 2 more items left. They're both pretty good ones. First one is another part of my Ninja blender. The pitcher is getting returned to me. The buyer says their lid doesn't fit on it. Don't know how that's the case, but sometimes people just don't know what their own blender models are. But this lid sold for $29.90 free shipping. So again, I had a whole bunch of Ninja blender pieces, food processor pieces, things of that. that I bought for $20, all profit at this point. Well, maybe not, because with the pitcher coming back. But anyway, this was about $2 or $3 for this item. $29.90 free shipping on that one. If you don't know already, Ninja blenders, Ninja food processors are very good items to source for sure. They have really quick sell-through rates. Almost every piece of them you can part out and get pretty good money for. The only thing I haven't had a lot of success with are the actual blender blades. They don't seem to go out or break as often as the other pieces, so people don't usually need to replace them. Last item of the day in the video is this Snap-on dwell meter, I believe is the correct term for it. Yes, this is a Snap-on secondary tack dwell meter. I believe this is something to do with doing tune-ups on your vehicle, which I'm not a mechanic or pretend to be one. I really don't know a lot about it. But I know that when I bought this, I bought it for $5 at a garage sale or kind of an estate sale. I know Snap-on's a great name, and I have sold a few of these dwell meters. This one sold for $59.95, which was pretty much top of the market. There's not a lot of them listed. The previously sold ones were in that $45 to $55 range, but I went ahead and listed mine for $60 because I don't think there were any other listed at the time, and somebody paid the full price for it. So certainly a no-brainer when it comes to Snap-on tools. If you can get them for cheap, you know, $5 or so or less for pretty much any Snap-on tool is going to be a pretty safe bet on getting your money back for it. I've sold wrenches that are this big for $20, you know, and on up from there. I haven't sold a ton of Snap-on, but almost everything I have sold is going to sell for good money and pretty quickly, as long as you can source it relatively inexpensively. Which is the moral of every story, right? When you're going to source, there's two main things you're looking for. You want to pay a low price, and you want that item to be in really good condition. And on top of that, you want it to hopefully have a really good sell-through rate. So I guess we'll say three things are really important when it goes into the sourcing piece. So anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Please like this video if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you want to get more content like this in your feed in the future. Good luck with all your reselling ventures out there, and we'll catch you on the next video. So take care. Bye-bye.